host and host. Yeah, got it. All right, thank you very much. Once again, good evening, everyone. And our only guest tonight, after that recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance, is Israel Yohannes. Israel, can you please put yourself off mute and introduce yourself and what brought you to our meeting tonight?
My name is Israel Yohannes. I've met most of you, if not all of you, a couple of weeks ago. I'm a civil engineer by training. I think I've said that last time. My interest in joining this team is to develop my speaking abilities, public speaking abilities. At the same time, networking with like-minded professionals in terms of developing, in terms of personal development.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, and then we've got Ben Williams. Ben, I believe you are still a guest to this club.
Yes, I just saw the invite, so I popped in.
Fantastic. So we'd like you to introduce yourself very briefly and tell us what drew you to our meeting tonight.
Oh, okay. My name is Ben Williams. I'm a business owner, CEO of Velocity Technology Associates. I've attended meetings in the past. In fact, I was a member of Toastmasters, a bunch of clubs, Anadarko, which was the one, the Galleria Club. I was actually president of a couple of them. And so I try to pop in from time to time to keep myself active and to keep working on my speaking skills. My company, Velocity, we're a technology company, and we focus on business process improvement using technology, whether it's developing software, whatever it takes. So I'm a big believer in Toastmasters.
Thank you very much, Ben. You're welcome. And remember, while we would like for you to join the club, you are welcome to be a guest for as many times as possible until you are comfortable joining.
Okay.
No worries at all.
I was the one that asked the question, when do y'all talk about going back in person? You know, I like virtual, but also like sometimes you need to see people in person.
Yeah, we've gotten really lazy with this virtual, and it's tough right now. And as Avi noted to you in the email, we will put it to vote again at some point to see how many people will be interested in meeting in person. And the other challenge we've got is that where we used to meet, we haven't been able to renew our license to meet there. Once we decide that we're going to start meeting in person, maybe once every other month or something, then we will find a venue. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. But thank you again for coming tonight. Without further ado, I'd really like to turn this meeting over to Mr. Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmaster Avi Chowdhury. Avi?
Thank you, Joaquin, Mr. President. Thanks a lot for kicking off this meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our meeting tonight. As Mr. President informed, today is International Women's Day, and we are dedicating today's meeting to all the hardworking moms, wives, sisters, and all possible roles that you can think a person is playing on a daily basis without even asking anything in return. That's a huge, huge stuff. Not even taking a day off from these roles. So tonight, I am going to call upon every woman who is a member of this club, starting with Carol Ritter, Jessica Sun, who's already here, Kim Dubé, Christina Sinclair, Omalade, Rafia Safi, Rhonda Harris Smith, and Soma Chatterjee. You know, we have around like 15 to 16 members right now, and more than 50% is the women in our club. So, cheers to all the wonderful women members of Southwest Project Management Toastmasters Club and around the world. Thank you. With and kick off the meeting. If you are new to Toastmaster, I guess nobody is, but still I am going to tell what the format of a Toastmaster meeting that we as a club execute. We have three distinguished segments and we call them PIE, P-I-E. P stands for prepared speeches. Today we have three wonderful speakers who are going to give their story or tell us what they learned, something for us to take back home. The second part of the meeting is impromptu speeches. Our table topic master, I am assuming, is going to give a grand entrance because she is still yet to join the meeting. What she will do, she's going to ask us a few questions, randomly picking up one of us here, and will give us 1 minute to speak. It's very exciting. And the third part of the meeting, which is the E part, evaluation. All these wonderful speakers, there is no point in just giving a speech unless you get something back as a feedback. So evaluations are designed to give constructive, valuable feedback to the speakers as well as to all the functionaries. Now that's out of the way, let's move in and introduce our functionary. Because we have a few people today in our meeting, and very rare that today we have only less. In general, we have 14, 15 members. But Toastmaster meeting requires only minimum two people to run a successful meeting. And we are lucky to have more than two. So it's my pleasure to introduce our functionaries for this evening, starting with the general evaluator. Luckily, you don't have to see any other face for that because it's me. I'll be playing the same role of a general evaluator along with Toastmaster. Thank you, everybody, for accepting me as the general evaluator. So the role of a general evaluator is kind of an auditor of the day. I am going to observe the meeting from the beginning to the end and try to see where we can take this meeting to the next level. In the end, I'm going to give a feedback of things that we did good, things that can be improved. But good thing is, I don't have to do it by myself because I have a wonderful team who would be helping me out throughout this process. And to start with that, I am going to call upon our wonderful grammarian who is almost a new member. Israel, could you please introduce yourself?
Thank you very much. The grammarian is to introduce the word of the day. And also I will be listening for the grammar and language usage. I'll find out the positive usage of the language. And if there are any inappropriate usage of the grammar, I will try to give a feedback in a way that's constructive. I will keep track of and as, mainly focusing on the grammar and the usage of the language is what I will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Israel. Did you introduce the word of the day? Sorry, I missed that part.
I think it was introduced by Akin. Was it?
You can introduce once again, no worries.
Okay. So the word of the day is celebration, Celebration, by definition, is the action of one's pleasure at an important event or occasion. We have very many reasons to celebrate. We can celebrate the presence of each other because every day is a new day. It's a gift. And we bring a lot of gift into this team so we can celebrate the presence of each other.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Israel.
You're welcome.
Moving on, our next functionary, which Israel already gave a little bit of hint, which is the R counter, and he will play the same role as R counter, along with being the grammarian. Israel, maybe you want to add a couple of more lines, what exactly an R counter does?
According to my understanding, the R counter notes the use of the sounds, like the fillers, the ums and the ahs or whatever that we're using in between when we take a pause. Those are the ones that we want to avoid, and those are the ones that I'll be keeping track of.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best. Next role, which is a very critical role, is the timer role, and it will be played by none other than Jessica. Jessica, please introduce yourself and give us a little bit about the role, please.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Thank you for the great celebration for the International Women's Day. And I guess Monica and I, we are here and we enjoy the celebration with all of us. So as a timer, I'm responsible for keeping track of the time for each segment, and participant in the meeting. And I will show different colors for the qualification, the time. When qualification time is reached, for example, for the speakers, I believe all three of us are 5 to 7 minutes. So the 5 minutes, you will see a green card, and then 6 minutes, it will be yellow. 7 minutes, it will be red, and you will have 30 minutes to close the speech before you are disqualified. And then for the impromptu speech, our time limit is 1 to 2 minutes. So 1 minute you will see green, 1.5 yellow, and then 2 minutes is red. And then you have 30 seconds to wrap up your speech. And with the speech evaluation, 2 to 3 minutes. So same rule apply, 2 minutes, 2.5, and 3 minutes. You will see the different lights on each of them. So we will keep our meeting in time, and that's as a project manager, that's important for schedule management and time management. So we will do that in our meeting. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Madam Timer. That was a wonderful description of your role. Wish you all the best. Next, we have our ballot counter, and that would be done by none other than our president, Akin Oni. Akin, would you like to
Thank you,
give
Mr. General Evaluator. As your ballot counter tonight, I will be using electronic polling. Once we are complete, once we complete one section of the meeting, as you all know, we have 3 sections, the P, the I, and the E. Once we complete one section of the meeting and I'm supposed to receive your ballot, I'm just going to push out a poll so that you all can just vote electronically for either the best speaker, the best table topics respondent, or the best evaluator. That's really my role tonight. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mr. Akin. Wish you all the best. With that, I am going to hand this meeting back to the Toastmaster role, which is again me, so that we can continue with this meeting. All right. As a Toastmaster, I am taking this meeting towards the first segment, which is the P, and that is the prepared speeches. We have three wonderful speakers, and the first speaker going in would be none other than our President Akin Oni, who is an energy industry leader and has been with Toastmasters since the fall of 2016. He is the current Division M Director, Area M31 Director, our club president, and co-chair of the District 56 2023 Spring Conference. Akin strongly believes that if you focus on excellence and authenticity and integrity, on treating people with dignity and respect and giving everyone you serve or do life with the opportunities to become a better version of themselves, you will have a very positive Toastmaster experience and a good life. Tonight, Akin will be speaking on the mechanics of a meaningful celebration. That's a required persuasive influence level 3 project. Give it up for Akin for the speech titled, The Mechanics of a Meaningful Celebration.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. In 1993, on my birthday that year, I joined a company called Netco. Netco was owned by Bechtel Corporation and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. 6 years in, I got transferred to the UK, to Bechtel's office in the UK, to work on a project. This project, the engineering was done in London. The procurement was done in conjunction with a company called Enka out of Istanbul in Turkey. And the construction was done in Tengiz, Kazakhstan. Very quickly, I noticed that the morale on that project was low. I spoke to the senior leaders within the project, and I realized that the project team actually never had opportunity over a 3-year period to actually celebrate as a team alone. As Bechtel, London, they were celebrating from time to time, whether Christmas or with whatever, maybe a bank holiday here and there. But there was no project-specific celebration. There and then, I advised the leadership team to let us have project achievement party, because that was such a large project that it would take us months to achieve 5% progress. Everybody agreed eventually, just to cut the long story short, and we began what I introduced as PAP, the Project Achievement Party, to the point that the introduction of that was so successful that many team members, they didn't actually know my name. They just called me the PAP guy, PAP guy, because I introduced that opportunity to celebrate. Now, here's where I'm going. Very quickly, with that particular initiative, the very first time we celebrated, some of my friends got drunk. In fact, I remember one guy in particular, he got so drunk that he stayed till the party was over. And then he jumped on a Piccadilly line from Hammersmith to Cockfosters. He was supposed to be dropping off midway, but he slept off to the point that he went to the stopping point, Cockfosters, of that Piccadilly line that night. And there wasn't going to be another train. Because of that, he had to join a black cab back home. And black cabs, they are very expensive in the UK. That was the last time my friend ever got drunk again. Why did I take you through all that? Celebration can be misconstrued. Some people say celebration is good. Some people say celebration is bad. My friend will say celebration is bad, but at the end of the day, today, he will tell you that it's good. But that time, he thought it was bad. How should you celebrate? What are the mechanics of a meaningful celebration? In my career, those who work with me, they know I like to treat people as an athlete. If you do something good now, imagine an Olympic athlete. You can't wait for 6 months or 1 year before you provide them feedback. Otherwise, they're not going to go far. So I like to provide people feedback right away. I like to let them know what they are doing wrong or what they are doing right. Help them to grow immediately. With celebration, if you are going to make it meaningful, it's best if you celebrate on the spot, not too long. Very important. When someone does something right or they do something that impresses you, don't wait too long. Celebrate right away. It is, in any culture that I worked in my career, it is a recipe for team building. When somebody, maybe they developed a very good report, go tell them, let them know right away. Don't wait for 12 months during their appraisal time before you tell them. Today, we're celebrating our women. I want to tell the women in our midst that, look, celebration is good. Take the time to celebrate yourself. You are resilient and strong. And I know that the more you praise and celebrate your life, the more there is in life to celebrate. Women, you are extraordinary. We celebrate you today. There is no harm in you celebrating you because you deserve it. Don't wait for anybody to celebrate you. You have the license to celebrate you yourself. And why should we celebrate ourselves from time to time? It actually empowers us to be better. When we do well and we know that we do well, or we set a goal, say like 2023, you want to achieve this, achieve that. When we achieve one part of the goal, take time to celebrate, because it gives you the power to know that if you're able to achieve that first step, you can get to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. It's vitally important. We are celebrating our women tonight, and I don't want to lose touch of that, but I took you through that, through my own journey at work, just to let you know how significant celebration can be, because that initiative helped to bring the team together so well that some people up to today, they still refer to me as the PAP guy, the Project Achievement Party guy, but they just call it PAP. Women, you are resilient, and this is the notes that I wrote down. I'm going to read it out. You are resilient and strong. Of your extraordinary intelligence and exemplary prowess, we have no doubt. Women, you are the epitome of strength, the pillar of our society. You are woman. You are the light that brightens. We celebrate you every day, but especially today, we do so with a difference. And this is the reason we have decided that the theme of our meeting tonight is the International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day to all the women in our lives, to all the women in our club, to our sisters and mothers. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Wonderful speech, Akin. Wonderful speech. Thank you so much for enlightening the importance of celebration and everything else that you mentioned. With that, Madam Timer, could you please give 1 minute on the clock so all of us can give Akin a private message, feedback, things that he did great, things that he can improve upon in his next speech. Thank you, Madam Timer. Moving on. Our next speaker is Tosin Ishu. Tosin is a servant leader and business consultant with extensive experience in digitalization, energy, and finance. He believes in empowering teams with the tools required to achieve success. Tonight, Tosin will be speaking on branding. Branding is an essential aspect of any business. It is a promise to consumer that a company makes about the quality and value of their product and services. A strong brand identity can help businesses stand out from the competition, build trust with customers, and increase their sales potential. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, Toshin, and his speech title, Branding. Toshin, stage is yours.
Please, can you give me access? I'd like to share my screen, please.
Go ahead.
I'm not completely sure. Can you see my screen now, please? All right, thank you. Right, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk through this branding. My name is Tosin, and today I will be speaking on the subject called branding. The content that we're going to be looking at today is what is a brand, build successful brands, why a brand's important, how to brand. I will be touching on a case study, and what is the branding process. Okay, so like we had read from Abby, simply put, a brand is a promise. It is a promise to consumers when they do business with you. Now, that definition may seem obviously may surprise a whole lot of us because people think of branding or a brand as a logo or as a product name. Well, I beg to differ today that a branding or brand as it is more than just a logo or a product. And that will take me to the next slide to just run through an experiment. I'm going to be showing 2 lines, and I would like you to just picture in your mind what those 2 lines actually means. Now, I know like most of you, these 2 curved lines reminds you of McDonald's. Even people who haven't gone to McDonald's before, once they see this, they tend to associate with the company just by seeing the 2 lines, even without having it in the right color. You can be sure that anyone will recall that this is a global billion-dollar fast food chain. Now, the question is, how do we build successful brands? There are 4 keys that I would like to touch on, and the first one is that you need to make it authentic. How do you make it authentic? It has to tie truly to your company values and the core purpose of your business. The second thing is that your branding or your brand has to be relevant. And what does that mean? It means that it has to promise the exact thing that it says you will give to the consumers or the customers, particularly in delivering value better than the competition. The third thing is that you need to make your brand consistent. And what does that mean? Your brand must be consistent across all touch point from your website, from your profile, from your posters, such that there is no iota of inconsistency in your brand. And the truth and the reality about it is that if you really want to build a successful brand, then you need to be true to your customers. The next one is that you need to commit to the brand promise. And essentially this means that Whatever you say that your brand will give to your customers, to your consumers, that has to be given to them. Now, the question now is that what experience do you want your customers to have when they encounter your brand? Because once you make a promise, you got to keep it. Now, why are brands so important? I mean, I've been talking about brands here, and I just like to point out this. Let's quickly take a look at this. The reason why brands are important is because just by looking at this picture here, you can see here that the market value for Coca-Cola is about $250 billion. However, the Coke brand itself is worth $140 billion. Now, that tells me that brands are both strategic and a financial asset. Okay? So let me just quickly run through a case study here. Sometime last year, I was on a project, and the project, it's based on confidentiality. I will, not be making mention of the company, but essentially, two companies were actually bought by parent company to merge together. And essentially, this company, they're involved in software. They're property technology companies, such that they utilize sensors to be able to optimize energy, to be able to optimize the energy savings, and obviously the cost. Now, the initial situation here, as I've said, is that I was brought in as a project manager to manage the merger of these two companies into one company. And the objective was to provide a better experience for the customers by launching a new website to access a wide range of products and services. The solution was that I collaborated with the team to rebrand the website, went through the vision, mission, value proposition, the brand pillars, and the value services. Also, I was able to provide a full project lifecycle project management in creation of assets, ebooks, company profile, and so on. Now, what am I saying here is that at the end of the project, we're able to achieve 85% energy savings. And that takes me to this last slide, which talks about how do you do the brand in itself. So you have to define the brand, position the brand, express the brand, build the brand awareness, and determine the brand equity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toshin, for highlighting the importance of branding and also giving us a roadmap how to pump up our club's branding if we want to do that. Madam VPPR, this is on your plate now. All right. Madam Timer, if you can give us 1 minute, please, so that we can provide personal feedback in private chat to Tosin, things that he did great, things that he can improve upon. Thank you, Madam Timer. Moving on, our third and final speaker, Jessica, is a mother of two girls. One is going to the graduate school and other one is a junior in the college. Jessica is the VP of Public Relations of our club, and she has been a member for 7 years. She works at Hargrove Engineers and Constructors as a project manager. She also volunteers as an EAP leader at her office. Tonight, she is doing her last level 1 speech for a leadership development path. Jessica's speech title is Emergency Action Plan at My Workplace. Before you begin, Jessica, I know you are the timer. While you're speaking, you can keep a tab at my screen because I can time you and you can see the background changing for me. With that, ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for Jessica for her speech title, Emergency Action Plan at My Workplace. Jessica. You're on mute, Jessica.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find my screen to share. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Mr. Toastmaster, for the nice introduction. Many years ago, my coworker called me and said she was not feeling well. I ran to her cubicle and found her almost collapsed. I held her in her chair, called 911, and then our supervisor. In no time, the ERT team came and took her to the hospital. On the next day, she was back to normal. She had a bad reaction to the medicine her doctor prescribed her. What will you do if you have a coworker had a heart attack? Where will you go if there's an active shooter at your workplace? Almost every business is required to have an emergency action plan, EAP in short form. If fire extinguishers are required or provided in your workplace, or if anyone needs to evacuate during a fire or emergency, then OSHA requires you to have an EAP. Today, I'm going to talk about the EAP at my workplace. This is our emergency action plan. It talks about how to report emergency, what about the evacuation, and different kinds of emergencies that could happen at workplace. And in this plan, one important thing is to teach the teammates how to read the emergency evacuation map. This is one of our maps. When fire alarms, the teammates need to follow the evacuation route through the exit, down the stairwell, and assemble at the muster point. We have primary and secondary muster point. This is our muster point. So they will come to here. In the case of a tornado, which happened not long ago, the teammates not go to the muster point, they need to stay sheltered in place. So we choose the interior conference room or offices for teammates to stay. And all the teammates need to know where's the pull station are in case there's an emergency, and also where the fire extinguisher are in case there's a fire. And if the teammates has a medical emergency, we have AED and first aid in this room. Other than the EAP map, we also have a great EAP leaders team. And one of the important role is incident commander. He is the ultimate person in charge in the event of emergency. He reports to senior management and safety leaders when an emergency occurs or when the all clear is given. He communicates with local authorities if needed, and he collects the headcounts from the area leaders. We also have two other roles, the captain and area leader. Captain ensures that all teammates have been evacuated from the area in an orderly and timely fashion. They work with the area leader to ensure accountability, and they also train the new employees how on our EAP procedure. For the area leader, They ensure all the teammates are accountable, and they report the head counts to the incident commander as quickly as possible so we can save the precious time to look for the missing teammates. We talk about how to react to fire alarm and tornado. There's other emergency. What happens if there's earthquake? We shelter in place, but we shelter under the work table or other sturdy structures. In the case of storm or flooding, we shelter in place, but we have to be at the second floor and above. If there's bomb threat, then evacuate to a safe area as notified by our safety officers. If there is an active shooter, then call 911. Use run, hide, fight strategy, whichever is applicable. And if there's a medical emergency, call 911. Everybody can call, but only trained authorized individual should respond. So if they have a heart attack, only the trained people can use the AED to rescue him. Otherwise, we need to save to the ERT team. We talk about the fire alarms, and buildings also have PA systems. There's another important powerful tool that recently developed. It's called Alert Media. It's an app that you can download on your cell phone or your computer. When it's initiated, it will send message with text, phone call, and email. We will hunt down the teammates wherever they are to tell them there's emergency going on, what type of emergency it is, and it will also give instructions how to evacuate. And in case of active shooters or tornado, is probably the main notification system for those cases. And it can also be used as a head count and survey. So all this, the map, the evacuation plan, the EAP leader, and the alert media, all these measures ensure us have a safe workplace. If you choose to be an EAP leader, you can prevent your coworker from being harmed, minimize damage to your company, and also gain trust and respect from your coworkers and the management due to your service. Would you like to be an EAP leader? Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jessica. What a wonderful set of information. Yes, definitely we would like to be an EAP leader. I would request you, Madam Timer, if you can put 1 minute on the clock, please, so that people can give you feedback. I would encourage everyone, please private chat Jessica and let her know what she did great, what she can improve upon in her next speech. While we are doing it, Madam Timer, could you please let us know if every speaker qualified? You have your time in the chat.
Yes, all speakers are qualified.
Thank you. While people are giving feedback to you, I would request Mr. Ballot Counter, if you can go ahead and push the ballot.
Time's up. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, we're done. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ballot Counter. And now, the moment that we were waiting for, which is table topics. Nobody is allowed to hide. Nobody is allowed to mute themselves. We have the right person to conduct the table topics because she always has great question to make you think on your feet. I am going to invite our table topics master, Rafia Safi. Rafia, this is your floor. Take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and the guest, my name is Rafia Safi, and I'm happy to be your table topic master today. As Madam Timer, she explained about our speech, the table topic speech time is going to be from 1 to 2 minutes, and then you will have 30 seconds to wrap up. Since today is the International Women's Day, I have a lot of questions, a lot of imprompts for Women's Day. So I am going to ask my volunteers first. So anyone who would like to volunteer for my first, or if not, then I can maybe choose someone. Let's see. I see some guests here. So how about Mr. Aditya? Would you like to participate?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone.
Thank you.
My name
Thank
is
you.
So the topic is International Women's Day or something very specific. That's all I could catch.
Yeah, actually, the topic, our theme is International Women's International Day, but the question will be around that, like something related to the women. So I'm going to ask the first question to you. Do you think men and women are naturally different from one another? If you say yes, why or why not?
Sorry, Madam Table Topics Master. Just to be certain, Mr. Roy, we have a timer. It's 1 to 2 minutes. And if you, I think you should be able to see, it's Jessica's son. You will see the timer light. Again, I don't want you to miss that opportunity so that you may win. That's really, back to you, Madam Rafia. I'm so sorry. Can you repeat your question to Roy again?
Thank you so much. No problem. And please bear with me because my internet connection is not strong today. So
Okay.
you might hear me cutting off. So you want me to repeat my question, Aditya?
No, I got it. So
You
the
got it?
question
Okay.
is, the question is whether the natural abilities of men and women differ from each other.
Mhm.
That's the. So I do think I will get started. So I do think the natural abilities of men and women are slightly differ from one another. The specific area that I want to focus is workplace because I am blessed to work with both a fair mix of men as well as women, and as well as people identifying from different sexuality and orientation as well at my workplace. And I do find the strengths that women bring to the table is something far more enriching and completes, the skill sets that we often lack from people who identify themselves as men. So, for example, when it comes to being very thorough and having a deeper look at, the work that we do, as well as making sure that the teams rally behind a common cause, I believe I have seen women having a far better success rate at workplace, and often it's a much more engaging ability. Something which I have seen as a common theme, in my several years of work experience, that makes me believe that it cannot be just one skill set, but it is something very natural what women bring to the table. Apart from that, if I think about the abilities of men to be a far more um, um, able to juggle across multiple riskier initiatives, I think women at workplace do bring additional abilities to dig through each of those specific initiatives and provide a much more ownership, while men are able to rally several initiatives at once. So this healthy balance of being able to look wider as well as grab the depth of the work is something I believe is a very common theme that's naturally distinguishes the strengths of different genders as well as different sexual orientations that I engage on a daily basis at workplace and find something of very compelling nature to observe and learn from.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Aditya. I'm going to look for my next volunteer. How about Monica Trivitiki? So are you available? May I ask you the next question?
Yes, I'm sorry. I think I was on mute. Yes, sure.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. So the next question for you is, what are some of the biggest challenges that women face today? How will these change in the next 20 years?
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. I'm Monica, and happy Women's Day to everybody, to all the women's beautiful women here. And yeah, that was a really great question. These days, even me as a woman, I'm facing many challenges because we have to maintain a balance between the work and home. It's very important for us to maintain that balance, which we are not having these days because of the work pressure that we are facing in the work, the tremendous amount of work, and with the kids add on with their activities and everything, we face a lot of stress. And with stress comes all the things following. So I think that we have husbands or kids or anybody, whoever are in home, they have to help each other to get going, help the women mainly because they will struggle a lot with the mental stress, not only in the work, in the home, with the kids and everything. So my take on this is, in future, down the line, 20 years, I want to see everybody helping each other, mainly women, because she's the main homemaker of the house. So I would really think that it would help everybody if men and everybody in the family could help support women. It would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Monica. Thank you so much. Sure, definitely. And we will see some improvement, actually more improvements. Okay, so I am going to be looking for another volunteer. How about Mr. Israel? Oh, Mr. Ben, you're okay. Let's go with the Ben first, and maybe after that we can talk to Mr. Israel. So Ben, for you, the question is, what are some important gains women have made throughout history?
Okay, thank you, Madam Tabletop Master. Yeah, my name is Ben Williams, and they've made so many gains throughout history because they have been the strong ones. They've been solid strength that men have needed and everybody has needed throughout history. They've been by men, in front of men, on side men, and a lot of times they don't get the credit that they deserve. And especially like when it comes to being able to, like in America, being able to vote. That's one of the big gains they had, being able to just serve office, being able to do it all, I should say, which means raise the kids, be the key homemaker, as well as be key people in society as far as organizations, companies, and helping them thrive. So they made so many gains in society. So I think that one of the things that I think is so critical for women and men to understand is that we all have value and we all have something to offer. And we shouldn't just have to celebrate that on International Women's Day. You really should celebrate that year round, because the term diversity we use a lot, it doesn't just apply to people from different races and nationalities. It applies to women, men, and everybody. Everybody has something to offer. So the gains that women have made is that we don't see women the same way as we may have seen them 30, 40 years ago as just being somebody that should stay at home. Most men with a brain in their head see as women that are great contributors and can change and reform an organization and take them to the next level. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much. Okay, so Israel, so are you ready for the next question?
Yes,
Would you
ma'am.
allow me? Thank you. Okay, for you, the question is, why have women been traditionally expected to handle all domestic chores?
Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master. Why have they been traditionally handed over that job? I haven't thought about that really, but I'm assuming that in the old days, it's a tradition, right? Men were tasked with hunting, getting the food, and women were traditionally in the home trying to take care of the family, the kids. I don't know how that came into existence, the history of it, but I'm assuming that it has been there maybe from the older culture inherited into the newer culture that we live in. I think it has improved from time to time. I don't think we're up there right now. Still, there is a lot of work that needs to be done. But I would think that we have come a long way considering the amount of pressure and the amount of tasks that women traditionally has shouldered.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Israel. You know what, when I was looking at this question, I was thinking myself also, why it was given to women? But one thing that came to my mind, that women are multitaskers and women are very patient. I think that's the basic thing, that why everything is coming on her. So that was
That's a
coming to
good
my
point.
mind.
That's a good point.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Israel. Thank you, all participants. So,
Thank you.
Mr. Toastmaster, do we have time to go for another one?
I think we are done.
Yeah, done. Okay, that's great. So, Madam Timer, do all the table topic speakers qualify?
Yes, everybody qualify.
Okay, great. So, Mr. Ballot Counter, would you like to? Okay. Okay. After this balloting, I'm going to hand over the meeting to our Toastmaster and the General Evaluator, Mr. Avi.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, and it is wonderful to see you back. And as you said, multitasker, yes, you were having multiple tasks going on behind the scenes, and it's great that you were able to attend this call. Hats off to you. Thank you. With that, I think we are ready to move into the final segment of our meeting, which is the evaluation part of it. And to lead that, I am going to hand the meeting over to the general evaluator, who is again, it's me. As a general evaluator right now, I'm going to call upon my team, the wonderful functionary team, including the evaluators, who is going to give invaluable feedback to all the speakers. As we were low on the head count, the speakers decided that they will be giving feedback to each other. And in that order, I am going to call upon the first evaluator, that is Tosin, going to evaluate Akin Oni. Tosin, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster Avi. I like the way you went about the story progression. I felt it was really concise, and I felt it communicated the message in the sense that you went from talking about yourself and it trickling it down into the topic for the day, which is celebration. I really like the way you did it. I talked through it. One comment that I would like to just touch on is that not everyone actually knows or have been to the UK. So when you mentioned that you had to take maybe, I guess, a train from Piccadilly to another train station, maybe rather than saying just Piccadilly to another train station, maybe you can also add that perhaps the mileage or the kilometer, so that it can give people an idea or a sense of the distance in terms of maybe miles or kilometers. Since not everyone might have been in the UK. I've been to the UK, so I understand those train stations. I totally do. Yeah, but that would is one comment I'd just like to make. But other than that, you did very well. And I like like I said, the story was really, really, it went well, and the way you trickled it down to the celebrating women. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tosin. Next, we are going to have our second evaluator, Jessica. And Jessica would be evaluating Tosin. And Jessica, I will time you, so keep an eye on the screen. That's how. Go ahead, Jessica.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Good evening. Thank you, Tosin. I'm so honored to be your evaluator again. And just like your last time, your speech is very polished and it grabs everyone's attention. I will evaluate your speech in the same method: content, delivery, and connection. The content, first you have great intro, and you have a very nice structure of your speech that you gave a good overview what you're going to talk about for the day, and then you hit every point on your speech, on each point during your speech. And I like the definition of branding and also each point of how you do the branding, why you have to brand and all those stuff. Those are very, very good information, very knowledgeable to give us all those information. And I love your presentation that's on the delivery part. And you have very great, clear pronunciation. You control your speech in a good speed at the beginning. So it's calm and then very clear, so we can follow along really good. And as far as connection, you use the logos, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and also your case study. All those connect us with your content, and that really grab our attention to your speech. And a couple of things I would like to suggest that you could improve on. The first is that when you talk about the case study, I would think the slides is slightly busy. I noticed that at work, we tend to put a lot of information on the slides, but in the case of our Toastmasters club speech, it may not that necessary to put all the information in there, because it could distract other people to focus on your speech rather than I'm so busy reading your slides and try to understand. So that's one thing that I would suggest. And the other thing is your ending is a little bit rushed. So compared to your beginning is such a good control speed, but the end is a little bit rushed. And I would suggest you also have some sentence about call for reaction. What will you do? How other people brand yourself, like make more connection with the people. That's all. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Jessica. Wonderful evaluation. Next, moving on, Our next evaluator is Akin Oni, and Akin is going to evaluate Jessica.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Congratulations, Madam Jessica Son. To those who don't know, I actually did a speech on Jessica about 3 years ago because of how inspiring she was to me, and she still is today. So thank you for another inspiring speech today, Jessica. My evaluation methodology tonight for your speech is going to be the code methodology: content, opportunity, delivery, and ending. Code. In terms of content, you engage me all through your speech because you use a methodology that I'm very familiar with, which is people, processes, and technology. Everything that you talked about revolved around those three elements. And there's no way you will talk about emergency action plan in the workplace without telling us about the people piece, the processes, and then the technology. You covered everything. That was fantastic. You also asked a lot of questions. What happened in the event of, you talked about fire alarm, you talked about tornado, you talked about earthquake, storms or flooding, bomb threat, active shooter, medical emergency. You covered it all. I thought that was very good. From a content standpoint, I will give you a green, thick check mark. One opportunity, let me make it two. Two opportunities that I have for you. Number one, look in the camera more. You are busy looking this way, and then you look this way. Because of where your materials were located, one could tell. So look in the camera more. I mean, it's okay to have notes, but read the note and then speak to us. That is very important. And then, of course, the number two, which is my usual, is you've got to speak more. Jessica, we need you to speak more. In terms of delivery, you started with good evening. And then you said many, many years ago, you drew us in with that. We wanted to hear the story. And then you said, you used the phrase, she had a bad reaction to the medication prescribed for her. What an act for you to actually help a fellow worker in the workplace. You didn't have to do it. You could have run away, but you decided to help. And then you ended with a question in that light. What will you do if it were you? In terms of the ending, which is the E part, I like the last question that you asked us. That is the way to leave your audience thinking and reflecting on your speech. And the question was, would you like to be an EAP leader? And you asked that question in a manner that was compelling, that was thought-provoking, that will leave the audience thinking and reflecting on what you just did to them. Very well done, Jessica. I will not add anything else to you other than tell you, look in the camera and speak more often. Back to you. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Akin. Wonderful evaluation. With that, I think we are concluding the speech evaluations. Madam Timer, did all the evaluators qualify?
Yes, all qualify.
Mr. Ballot Counter, could you please push the polls? While you're voting, I am going to kick off the meeting evaluation section, and the first functionary that I'm going to call upon is none other than our grammarian, Israel. Israel, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I will start with Akin. He used words and phrases that are expressive. He was systematic, detailed in the usage of his words that describe each other. For example, epitome followed by pillar, etc. I have looked for misuse of grammar and any filler words like and ah, and I wasn't able to find any.
Is there a word count that you have? The word of the day? Who had how many?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Sorry, my question was who used the word of the day how many times?
I did not do that. I'm really sorry. I should have done
No
that.
worries, no worries. But we did hear somebody in the meeting use.
Yes,
celebration.
Akin has used that a lot, definitely, but I never counted it.
That's it. All right. At least we have members using the word of the day. Okay, moving on. The next role, and I'll not let you leave the screen, Mr. Israel. The next functionary role would be the R counter. Would you like to give the report for that?
Let me go ahead and do Tosin. Do you want me to do that? Okay.
Yes, please.
So for Tosin, he used phrases that are important to describe the subject matter. He had all the business language pertinent to the topic he discussed. I counted more than 3 R's and one misuse of a plural. Generally, other than that, he did a great job with the language that expresses the subject matter. For Jessica, like Tosin, she had all the technical language to describe the subject matter. She used good phrases that explained her point. I have noticed that she probably assumed her audience is familiar with acronyms such as OSHA. That was never, I don't think that was explained prior to the usage. And I have noticed one other grammar mistake. There was 0 A. There wasn't any filler words that she used. She generally did a very good job with the grammar and the language. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Israel. For anyone who's wondering, our R counter and grammarian role today, Israel is extremely new to the group, and every single time he did wonderful job. This is his second meeting, second time he's taking functionary role, and he just hit out of the park every single time. Good job, Israel.
Thank
Next
you.
time
Thank
you will
you.
be speaking for sure. All right. Moving on, the next functionary I would like to call upon is the timer. Madam Jessica, would you please let us know who what the timer report is?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. So for the speaker prepared speech today, Mr. Kim, your time is 7 minutes and 14 seconds. Mr. Tosin, your time is 6 minutes and 50 seconds. My speech is 6 minutes, 49 seconds. For the impromptu speech, first speaker, Rai, 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Second speaker, Monica, 1 minute, 34 seconds. Third speaker, Ben, 1 minute, 30 seconds. And the last speaker, Israel, 1 minute, 54 seconds. For the evaluator, first evaluator Tosin, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. And for me, as the second evaluator, 3 minutes and 6 seconds. And the last evaluator, Akin, your time is 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Madam Timer. Wonderful report, very detailed. And I hope everybody noted down the time. Next time it would be a basis to improve upon or stretch your speech wherever you are in. With that, I am going to give my general evaluator report, which is overall meeting feedback. Of course, we started right on time. I would like to see many of our members join the meetings. One of the way to energize the member base is to send multiple emails, remind them maybe a week ahead the roles are open so that they can take up, and at least we will have a minimum 10 to 15 members joining the meeting every time. We used to have it. I think because of multiple dependencies and priorities, people are taking a little break. Now, our speakers, they had wonderful speeches, table topic, excellent questions, excellent response and evaluations. Great job, evaluators, speakers, because you double dipped your role. While you're speaking, or once you're done speaking, you just picked up your pen and paper and started evaluating the speeches. That was fantastic. I'm not going to take much of the time here. It was a wonderful meeting. It was well executed, well done. Of course, you need to see who was the Toastmaster and general evaluator. But beyond that, I think this was a great, great meeting. I am going to hand this meeting back to the Toastmaster for concluding this meeting right now. Okay, Toastmaster rule. Thank you, everybody, speakers, general evaluator, the functionaries, the evaluators, guests. We had a wonderful time. I do have the results, and I would like everybody to unmute yourself and give a drum roll so we can have the ceremony going. Now, the best table topic speaker is Ben Williams. Congratulations.
Yay.
Thank you.
The best evaluator is Akin Oni. Congratulations. And now the best prepared speech goes to Mr. Branding Guy, Tosin. Congratulations to everybody. Thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity to be your Toastmaster for the evening. And with that, I'm going to hand this meeting back to our president for final comments and wrap up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster and GE tonight. And thank you everyone for your contributions. That was very good. See our numbers, and we were still able to get everything done. You see, what we do here, we don't just do here. What we just witnessed tonight is what happens in the workplace. You realize that you've got a major presentation to give. Somebody has been working on it, and all of a sudden, maybe they have a family emergency, they are not available. Somebody else will have to jump in and try to just do what needs to be done. So thank you all so much for that. And thank you to Madam Table Topics Master. Welcome back. And thank you for giving me a heads up that you might join a few minutes late. That was very good. Otherwise, we'll have been worried. So very, very good. Again, I'm not going to repeat what Mr. Toastmaster said, particularly around people signing up early and joining the meeting. But we'll continue to encourage members to participate. But very especially, I appreciate our guests tonight because they participated really well. It was kind of interesting that we were able to have 4 guests and they all participated in the table topics. So that was really very good. You all are winners tonight. Well done. Summer was going to talk about our Toastmasters wife, but she's not here tonight. I'm going to say a few words. Well, don't let me say most. Some of you, you know my story already, how I came to the Toastmasters. A lady came to my PMI presentation session, and she invited me to Toastmasters because she thought that I would be able to help some people, that there are some people within Toastmasters sponsored by PMI Houston who need my message. I got to the Toastmaster eventually, and I will tell you all that I have gained more from others than I've given back. So that's why any opportunity for me to give back right now in any way, I try to take the opportunity. And I don't know what your reasons are for joining Toastmasters. I don't know what you like to get out of it, but don't let this be just another social club. We should be social, and we really are. But then understand your goals and focus on it. How do I get better? I can only get better if I take on functionary roles during the meeting. I can only get better if they call on table topics respondent. I show up. I can only get better if I speak. All these are very important. And you realize that by and by, you are a better speaker. I've told some of you before, when I was in high school, I was the best student, but I couldn't talk to anybody for more than 30 seconds. And I mean 30 seconds. Today, I can talk to anybody from morning till evening. Just bring on the topic. Let's do it. But then, because I will ask my friend, what are you talking about for 45 minutes, standing in one spot with a lady? He said, it's just sweet nothings. I said, you've got to be kidding me. But again, it's a different story for me today. So thank you all so much. In closing, I must appreciate the sponsorship of our club by PMI Houston. They continue to take some form of responsibility for what we do, and they call us theirs, we call them ours. Very important. We've got about 7 minutes left. I'm going to go around the room real quick. So solicit some feedback from our guests before I announce tonight's shout-out moment winner. I'm going to start with Ben. Ben, what's your overall impression of our meeting tonight? Just in 30 seconds or less.
Oh, I think I had a good time. I think it's a great meeting. I think it's so important to keep involved with Toastmasters. Myself, I'm busy a lot, so I don't attend like I used to, but there's always so much fun. And I like the way you're doing it. It's so important, even if it's virtual, you do what you can, but you have great meetings and everybody plays a role, and you encourage everybody to keep speaking, because speaking is critical to success in everything.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Aditya, what's your overall impression of the meeting in 30 seconds or less?
Yeah, firstly, sorry for being late. Secondly, it's a great lineup of people here. So it's a very healthy balance of people playing multiple roles. I know Avi had to stretch himself in different hats, but still, he pulled up great. And I think that topics as well as, the ability to do 3 presentations is something amazing, because, it will ensure that a lot of people will get a chance to present, every following week or something close to that.
Thank you very much, Aditya. Next is Israel. Israel, your overall impression of the meeting?
Yeah, I had a very good time. For people like me who do not speak a lot, this is a great opportunity. You could be a very good engineer, or you could be whatever you want to be. If you don't speak, then you don't. That's it. So it's a great opportunity. Thank you very much for having me.
Very good. And the last but not the least, I know that Monica, you are standing in for, I believe, your husband, but we'd still like to hear from you. What's your overall impression of the meeting?
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Firstly, I want to tell today I had a very bad headache and I was juggling to come or not to come, but I still laid on my bed, just attended the session, and I'm glad I attended the session. When you told that you couldn't speak continuously for 30 seconds, I'm also at the same pace. I have tons of degree which are useless if I don't speak. So this Toastmasters is helping me a lot to put myself in and to talk more, and I really love being here.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. And the last of my task tonight is to announce the shout-out moment winner. But before I do that, I'd like to first appreciate Soma and Ohe that represented us at last weekend's area contest for Division M. I wear triple hats during that kind of meeting, because in our case, I'm the club president. I'm also an area director for M31, and I'm also the Division M director. So at different levels, I'm kind of pinched by whoever is doing whatever. So the members, they actually presented very well. It's just that when you get to the area contest, it's a totally new dynamics. So of course, they were both runners-up in their categories. But we thank them so much for at least stepping up to represent us at that event. And I want to challenge you all. You're hearing me tonight. is in 12 months or less than 12 months, we will be looking for volunteers that will represent us at the area contest again. I don't want us to not have representation anymore. Please, please, and please begin preparing yourself now. How will you represent this club next year? We have excellent people, great speakers that can represent us. And I want to challenge each and every one of you. I'm giving you a heads up now, like 11 months heads up. So if I come to you, don't say, well, you didn't tell me before. Now I've given you 11 months right now. I don't know how many people will get that much time to plan. So please plan, prepare, practice, and go out there and be ready to perform. Thank you very much. Without further ado, our shout-out moment winner for tonight is no one else other than a guest who showed up and took 2 roles. You know who I'm talking about? Israel Johannes is also a Table Topics speak respondent. Please, let's give Israel a big round of applause. Israel, we're so proud of you. You're a guest. You took 2 meeting roles and you did amazingly well. That's what I call a Toastmaster. Thank you so very much for stepping up tonight. And we look forward to welcome you again to our meeting in 2 weeks. Again, like I told a few of you earlier on, you can come as a guest for as long as you like until you are comfortable becoming a member. Of course, our expectation will be that you become a member and join. And don't think that, hey, I'm not going to be able to come to every meeting. Nobody is going to come after you if you can't come to every meeting. We would love for you to come to every meeting as a member, but please don't think that we don't understand that life does happen. We know life happens, and if it does, or whenever it does, we have to focus on what we need to do and then come back later. That's fine. So thank you so much, Israel. Thank you to all our guests. Thank you to all my fellow members of this club tonight for showing up. This club is better because you are in it. And remember,